Welcome to C# for Crestron programming. In this tutorial, we will learn how to integrate Cresnet devices into a program correctly. For those not familiar with Cresnet communication standards, Cresnet is a 4-wire communication bus which includes power to Cresnet devices. Please visit www.crestron.com and review answer ID 1629 in our online help section for additional information. For this tutorial, our objective is to program C# code to control a Crestron CHV TSTAT unit with a Cresnet keypad model C2N CBFP. Button 1 will increment the set point, button 2 will decrement the set point, and button 3 will toggle between heat and cool modes. I will only code the cool set point's increment-decrement and will leave the heat section as a challenge for you. Any 4 series processor will work, but for this tutorial I am using a CP4. Let us continue by starting Visual Studio 2019 Community Version. I start a project called Cresnet Devices. To have library support for Cresnet devices, we need to put the appropriate directives in our code. Using Crestron.simplesharppro.keypads and Crestron.simplesharppro.thermostats. At this point, we assume that we have already imported the NuGet packages. Also, I would like to keep some of the default NuGet templates in my project. Next, let us declare a couple local variables under our control system class. Private C2N CBFP myKeypad and private CHVT STAT myTstat. Alright, next we should register our Cresnet devices with a try block. If this dot supports Cresnet, then myKeypad equals new C2N CBFP at Cresnet ID hex 30, comma this. Next, we subscribe to button state change event, and then check the registration. If myKeypad.register not equal to eDevice registration, unregistration response.success, then give us a message, error registering keypad at Cresnet ID hex 30, and we pass the argument myKeypad.registration failure reason into a string. Essentially, we do the same thing for our CHV-TSTAT unit registration with the Cresnet ID hex 31 and subscribe to online status, temperature, climate control component call, then if the registration is not a success, give us an appropriate error. Notice the red squiggly lines that is indicating I have not defined event handler yet for keypad and CHV-TSTAT units, which we will define shortly. Next, we catch if we have an exception error within catch block for error in the constructor. Under the keypad events section within the template, we should complete the keypad button state change events. Void myKeypad button state change, generic base, device, button event args. We will check these within an if-else-if block and use switch case statements. So, if switch args button dot number, then case 1. If my tstat dot sysmode cool bool value, then my tstat dot cool setpoint plus dot pulse, which will increment the set point from a press of button 1. We essentially do the same thing for button 2, but we use decrement this time. Finish off with a break. Case 3, we want to switch between heat and cool modes by pressing button 3 on the keypad. First, we check to see if my tstat.sysModeCool feedback is true. If it is, we set sysModeCool to false, and we also set sysModeHeat to true. Otherwise, if sysModeHeat feedback was true, we set the modes the opposite way. We end with a break, and if none of these three cases were true, send information to console indicating that the button selected is not programmed and break. We can also implement code to indicate whether the device is online or offline. Void myTstat_online status change, generic base, device, online-offline event, args. If device.isOnline, then Crestron console.println tstat came online. Else Crestron console.println tstat went offline. Next, we would like to subscribe to temperature change event. Private void myTstat temperature change. Thermostat, tstat, temperature, event args. We check the cool set point, then print to the console window the cool set point. We define another method for climate control component called change. However, we do not have to put any code within this method for now, but it can be added additional code if we wanted to do so. Let us build our code and test it. The feedback from CHV tstat takes a few seconds to get back. As you can see, the set point changes. Remember, the set points are displayed 10 times. For example, 800 equals 80 degrees. In this tutorial, we learned how to add two different Crestron Cresnet devices, the C2N CBD-FP and the CHV tstat, and how to control the HVAC system using the thermostat device.